Good evening, listeners, and you're welcome along to Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 30th of January 2026, in association with the Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to be looking ahead to what is a really exciting weekend of sport in Tipperary. We're, of course, going to be looking ahead to the Harty Cup final on Saturday. Nenagh CBS taking on St. Flannan's College of Ennis. We're going to be looking ahead to that game. We've also plenty of league action to look forward to as well. Tipperary taking on Offaly in the hurling and Tipperary taking on Antrim in the football. We also have ladies football, plenty of rugby, soccer, etc. all to come this weekend in Tipperary. And we're also going to hear from Cahir's own Will Fleury, the Oktagon MMA light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. He spoke to us during the week. We'll hear that conversation too. And Barry Drake will join us to round off the weekend's show with the weekend's greyhound racing update. So that's what's coming up over the course of the next hour. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it with that Harty Cup final. Nenagh CBS taking on St. Flannan's College Ennis. That game is on at 1 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, in Zimmer Biomet Park, Kissogue in Ennis. And that game is live here on Tip FM with thanks to REA Eoghan Doughan in Nenagh. Well, I attended the launch of this event, this final in TUS campus in Moylish in Limerick, and I got to sit down first with Nenagh captain Eoghan Doughan, and I began by asking the Moneygall native about that thrilling semi-final win over Thurles and playing in what was a cracking atmosphere in Templederry. So here is Nenagh CBS captain Eoghan Doughan.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. We knew heading into the game there was going to be a great atmosphere in. Thurles are a great outfit. And we knew it was going to be a titanic battle, and we were ready for that, and we were glad that we came out on the right side of it.
You were standing over the match-winning free for a finish about 5 minutes into additional time. You're free taking a long time now, but what was kind of going through your head standing over a free like that, kind of to win a Harty Cup semi-final?
You want to be in them positions. You dream about them when you're younger, but I just made sure that I walked slowly up to the free and took my time, and just like any other free, just go through the same technique, and gladly it went over. Yeah, there was great scenes then when it did go full time.
There was a field rush of all your supporters, but just on the supporters, I'd say there's a good buzz around the school around Harty Cup time with the lads that are going to all the games following you. There's a TikTok account there and everything, keeping track of everything you're up to, but a great buzz in the school, I'd say.
Yeah, no, the lads are great. Look, everyone in the school is on a high, and it's great to be in a Harty final. It brings a good buzz around the place, and our supporters are unbelievable, and we can't thank them enough for everything they've done, and hopefully we'll have many more days now.
And going into this final now, it's on in Ennis. You were one of, I think yourself, Austin Duff, Joe Dwyer maybe would have been on the team 2 years ago in that Harty Cup final. Good memories, I suppose, going back to Cusack Park.
Yeah, look, good memories, but doesn't mean it's going to be the same outcome. We're going in just looking to get the best possible performance, and once we perform to our best, hopefully it comes out right. We come out the right side of it.
And like reflecting back on that Harty final, it was a Moneygall man, Andy Hoolan, who got that winning goal. What are your memories of that? Because I know myself and Philip Hickey were going mad in the commentary box at the time, but what was your reflections on that?
I don't know now if it was Andy Hoolan or Jake Hackett, but I'd say
still up for debate, is it?
Andy will claim it anyways, but it was great. Look, all we want to do is win the match, and whatever way you win, you take it. So
yeah, it's Flannan's you're up against. You would have played them earlier in the year. I'm not sure, was it on here in Moylish here in the TUS campus, but that was a game you're up 10 points at half time. You end up drawing the game. I'm sure you're all aware in the group, and even from playing them in the Dean Ryan final a couple of years ago, very familiar with them, and you know what they're about, and likewise they know what you're about, so there's a lot of familiarity there between the two sides.
Yeah, look, Flannans are a great team. They've 22 Harty Cups, so they've been in these places before, and heading into the game, look, we know it's going to be a big battle, it's going to be tight, and we're just hoping that we come out on the right side of it.
You're captain of the team. How do you kind of find that role, leading into this big game now? Do you take anything else on extra, thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that because I'm captain, or do you just take it as another game and prepare like you always do?
No, it's the same thing as any other game. We have so many leaders in our group, and I'm not the only one, that's for sure, and there's plenty of other boys that step up to the plate, and look, we've great leaders in our group.
and morning of the game, if we fast forward to that, how do you think you'll feel waking up on that morning with a Harty Cup final to go play? It's even thinking of it now, and we're over a week out, you can nearly feel a bit of a buzz building. But how are you kind of on game day?
Yeah, can't wait for it, to be honest. Everyone just can't wait for it to come around. But yeah, obviously there's going to be nerves before the match, but sure, that's expected. Any final that you go into, you're going to be a bit nervous, but you just have to take it in your stride and go out and perform the way you always do.
And Darren McCarthy's involved with you, past student, would have been on the team when you won it 2 years ago. Now he's gone on and he's become Young Hurler of the Year and things like that. So what's it like having Dara around that panel, or do you kind of nearly still look at him as a teammate more than anything?
Yeah, no, look, everyone looks up to Dara. Like what he's done over the past couple of years is unbelievable, and he's a role model for our group, and what he brings to us is unbelievable as well. He always giving advice to us, and yeah, he's just great to have around, especially leading up to the final. Like, he's been here before, he knows what's going on.
That was Nenagh CBS captain Eoghan Doughan speaking ahead of tomorrow's Harty Cup final. Well, I also caught up with the Nenagh CBS manager, that is Donach O'Donnell, and I also began by talking to Donach about that really memorable semi-final against Thurles and what his side can learn from that occasion.
Well, sure, I mean, Thurles were champions at the moment, or officially. So they're really a really good team. So it was really great to get over the line with them, you know. It was a really close game. There was nothing in it, and to win that and come out on the right side of it is great preparation for the final. Yeah, and going into this final, it's against Flannan's. As we mentioned before, you played them in the start of the group stage. Much changes throughout a Harty Cup campaign, given the age profile of the players and things like that. But can you take much from that? These players are kind of quite familiar with each other anyway, but can you take much from that first game? Well, you obviously look back on it, but you can see development, as you said, through the group stages of the team. There was nothing in it that day. I mean, we put up a good lead at half time and lost it, and they came back very strong at us. So I can't see much being in the game the next day, you know. Plenty of good teams have come through Nenagh CBS, down through even your tenure in there. What kind of separates a team like this year or a team like 2 years ago, the teams that make it as far as the final? Is there anything that you can kind of put your finger on that maybe separates those groups? Really, at this time of year, in these conditions, with the standard of hurling, all games are kind of close enough. You know, even the ones that you win by a decent margin, they're still close enough games, because like, kids are in their last year of school and they want to win the game, and the competition level is so high. It's very close to county under 20 standard, really, you know. So there's nothing in those games, and it's, I think, a closeness, you know, of the group when they're really, really back to the wall, that the closeness of the group comes through, you know, and that selflessness of being able to make that tackle or make that run or get up off the ground when you're not able to get up. And they're the things that separate the really, really good teams from even the talented teams. Yeah. The team you have in there now, as you mentioned, so much talent in, and one of them is Patrick Ryan. He came in from Bursley, and I'm not sure, did he just come in this year or was he in there last year? He's one of those players, and you have a lot of them where you can kind of move him around, can play in a number of positions. That's a great thing to have, but it probably gives you a few headaches throughout the field, where to play him, where to play the likes of an Austin Duff or Billy O'Brien. Or there's lots of moving parts in the team that I'm sure yourself and the management probably have long conversations about where to play these lads. It has been the toughest team to pick I've ever been involved in, including inter-county teams. It's just the fact that there's so many of them that are playing at a really high level. There's so many of them versatile. We've been lucky enough with injuries early on. We were caught with a couple, but really we've had a fairly full pack the last 3 or 4 games. So it's really, really hard. And in fact, it's very hard to pick a 30. You know, that tug out, and we've a full panel of 43, you know, so there's fierce competition there, and if a guy is injured or not 100% fit, we have to overlook him and go for someone else in the panel, you know. You mentioned it's hard to pick a 30. The number 30 last in the semi-final was Hugo Healy. He came on at half time and put in an unbelievable performance. So
it's great to have those options as well, that you can look to number 30 on the bench and they can come on in the Harty Cup semi-final and make a huge impact. So I'd imagine training leading up to a final is there's going to be lads kind of chomping at the bit to try and get into the 30, try and get into that 15.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's such a pleasure to have that. It's a real comfort, that if one guy is down, the next guy will come in, and we're training and playing at that level all the time and doing the same work all the time. And if we need to call on one of the guys, they'll ready and willing to come forward.
How good is it to have, like, Flannan's played in the final last year, so they have lads that have experienced finals as well, but you have the likes of Eoghan Doughan, Austin Duff, Joe Dwyer, these fellas who featured 2 years ago, to have that in the group, so they'll be probably chatting away to lads at lunchtime about what it's like playing the Harty Cup final, and to have that kind of within the panel.
Oh, it's great, and it's something you can't really buy unless you've been there, and we're lucky enough that there was a good few on the panel as well involved that day 2 years ago. So yeah, it's just experiences you can't buy. It's great to have it.
Yeah, and last couple 2 years ago, we're harping back to that, but Shawnee Kennelly, who's in front of us here, was involved in the coaching team, a past pupil, a past player. You've kind of done that in the past. Now Darren McCarthy is involved. That must be kind of a conscious thing to kind of keep that, I suppose, what would you call it, nearly like a bloodline of talent that's coming through the school and keeping them involved with the players, so that the players there now can see what can be achieved, and that's probably a conscious thing that you've been doing the last while.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to when Mark was in school, when he finished up a year or two after, he was back involved with us again. Shawnee was a captain, the boys have seen him play, and he's now gone from school a couple of years, and the boys still know him.
Yeah.
He's a really good sounding block, and a leader kind of off the field, and for a player like Dara or Shawnee when he was involved, they're very close to the players, so you get information that you need. Some fella's in bad form, or some fella's not going great, or some fella's an injury he mightn't be telling you, and or if some fella's sick. We had a guy yesterday, he's on antibiotics and a flu, and we looked at him and asked him, is he alright? And we found out that he had been sick and flu, and they don't want to tell you sometimes, So it's very good to have that information, that closeness as well too. And he's also a good sounding block, like Owen played with Dara and is now kind of has learned from him, I'd say. And the same when Shawnee was there,
Yeah, it's a great thing to have. Well, we're really looking forward to it, Donach. We wish you the very best luck, and hopefully we'll have a successful Saturday, January 31st.
Please God.
That was Nenagh CBS manager Donach O'Donnell speaking to myself last week at the launch of the TUS Dr. Harty Cup final, taking place tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Zimmer Biomet Park Kisog in Ennis. And to talk a bit about that game, and also a bit about Tipperary against Offaly, which is on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Glenisk O'Connor Park in Tullamore. Joining me here to talk about those games is Shane Brophy, Head of Sport at the Nenagh Guardian. Shane, how are you?
Hi, Paul.
Great to have you in here, Shane. We're listening to Eoghan Doughan and Donach O'Donnell there ahead of this game tomorrow in Cusack Park, or Zimmer Biomet Park Kisog to give it its proper name. Huge excitement around the place, but you've seen a lot of Nenagh CBS this year, this campaign. How do you think they're going to fare here tomorrow?
I think they're well set up for the final. Like I said, ordinarily, in circumstances, if you lose the toss and you nearly have to go to the other team's home ground, you'd be a bit of humming and hawing. But no, like, I suppose the fact that they won their first and only Harty 2 years ago down in Ennis, it won't hold any fear for them. I think they're kind of relishing the opportunity. We've seen two Tipperary teams go to Nolan Park and win All Ireland, so like I think that'll be definitely used as a motivating factor. Like the venue doesn't matter; it's about turning up and performing. And look, it promises to be a special day. Like I think 2 years ago there was about 3,500 people there for the Skull Reach game. I'd say you could maybe even double it. It was like, I'd say Flannan's the aristocrats of the Harty, but they've only won it once, I think, in the last 20-something years. Like, so, like they're chomping at the bit for this, and like it promised to be a brilliant occasion, and definitely one that I think Nenagh won't be overawed by. I think they've worn the favourites tag probably since one of the, I wouldn't say the favourites tag, but they've definitely been up there with Flannan's and Thurles as being the teams to
to beat at the start of it, and I suppose 2 of the 3 are still here.
Yeah, there is so many storylines going in. You mentioned Flannan's and their brilliant record in this competition, but I think they won it twice since they stopped becoming a boarding school back in 2005. So it's been a drier run for them, but they were in the final last year. A couple of those players will be playing tomorrow. That's another storyline. These teams met in the Dean Ryan Cup final 2 years ago. They played earlier in the group stage and it was a draw. Nenagh looking to make it 2 in 3 years. The matchups and everything. There's a lot that goes into this game. A lot of things for supporters to kind of get their grips into.
Absolutely, and I think that the fact that I think Nenagh finally feel a part, I suppose, of the Harty tradition. Like they had never won it before 2 years ago, although they'd lost 5 previous finals. But it just feels that they've become part of it, and I think they've gotten to the level that you kind of need to do. You need to go above and beyond, and we heard Donach O'Donnell say that after the semi-final win over Thurles, in terms of, I suppose, in terms of the behind the scenes work that goes in, like in terms of training and S&C and post-match rehab and stuff like that. They're doing all that, even maybe attracting guys to the school that are going there for the Harty, like, and being able to play Harty level hurling, and they're doing that. And like I think you have 10 of the 18 clubs in the North Division represented. Like that's some support based in behind you. I think there's a lot of excitement with even in the clubs as well. Like I suppose at this time of the year, or maybe apart from Tipperary, there isn't really an awful lot for clubs to get after. Like, but I think the Nenagh will be well represented in terms of support now on Saturday.
Yeah, and what's your overall feeling? Do you think they can get over the line, or how do you kind of see the game playing out?
I like that they weren't. They've done everything they've asked them so far. Like, if you're to be concerned, is that there's an awful lot of scoring focus on Eoghan Doughan, but he got 114 against Middleton. He got 12 of the 20 or 12 of the 118 against Thurles. Look, if he's tied down, that could be a concern. But like these finals are where maybe other guys will step up, and we've seen Patrick Hackett has had a massive campaign. Paul Carroll is well able to score. I think the conditions and the open spaces of Cusack Park will maybe the likes of Joe O'Dwyer, or maybe you're in the likes of Bancha and Templederry, where maybe pitches are a little heavier, but the firmer surface is more space. Like they come into his own, and even going back to having a goalkeeper like Patrick or McCormick, who's very, very adept at landing long range trees. So like even Ennis have got to be, their discipline has got to be so good. Like anything from 100 yards in, there's a possibility he could score it.
Yeah, there's lots of threats there for Nenagh. Hopefully they can get over the line tomorrow. 1 o'clock in Zimmer Biomet Park, so again Ennis, and our coverage of that game is with thanks to REA Eoghan Doughan in Nenagh. We'll also have live coverage on Sunday of Tipperary against Offaly in round 2 of the National Hurling League. That has a 2 p.m. throw-in time in Tullamore. And Shane, you're living up near the Offaly border there. You're from up around the Offaly border in Lara. Huge excitement around that side of the county, particularly when this fixture comes around. But this is one that Tipperary will, if you offer a 1-point win, I'd say Liam Cowell would probably take it at this point. It's a game that Tip will just try their best to just go out there and win and have 4 points from 4. But with injuries, with things like that, it's a tricky affair.
Yeah, absolutely, and no more than for Offaly too, who have a lot of guys who are probably in that 20, 21, 22 age bracket, who are also trying to serve Fitzgibbon Cup teams as well. Like, so you've Adam Screeney and Darren McCarthy, who are teammates for UL, could come up against each other tomorrow. Well, on Sunday, depending on if they're selected, and I suppose that'll be in the minds of Liam Cahill and Johnny Kelly as they pick their teams. And I suppose probably Johnny Kelly probably under more pressure. It's a home game for them. They probably have no choice. Where maybe Liam Cahill, after the win against Galway, probably a little bit more scope for experimentation, and also the fact that 6 days. Hence, or 6 days on, we have to go to Cork, and we saw how firm that pitch is down there. You need freshness, you need a few legs. So it'll be interesting to see the team that is announced on Friday night. But I think there'll be changes. You're probably Robert Doyle and Joe Caesar, who limped out of the Galway win. They'll probably go out, but then it's an opportunity. Like I think 5-6 guys might come in. You look at Paddy McCormack, Conor Martin, Josh Keller, guys that they all. Stephen Tobin, guys that maybe saw game time late on against against Galway coming back in, and of course Jason Ford was named on the bench but didn't get a run, so he hasn't featured in any of the games so far, so I would expect Jason probably, definitely, if he doesn't start, he'll probably see 20-25 minutes off the bench against Offaly.
And it's a difficult time for management as well, particularly as you mentioned with third level Fitzgibbon Cup. A lot of lads playing a lot of minutes, a lot of kind of niggly injuries at this time of the year as well, missing out on a couple of players. It is a difficult kind of time for management with 3 games in 3 weeks to kind of get that balance right and make sure lads are primed and ready each time they go out in the field.
Yeah, especially for the likes of Tip, who were one of the 4 counties that don't have a bye in this stretch of games. Like, they're playing 3 and 15 after the Cork game on Saturday week. It's nearly every 2 weeks from that up to the Munster Championship, which would be, and the Fitzgibbon Cup I think is finishing up on the 13th of February or something like that. So the Fitz will be wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, it's all about just getting through the next couple of games. I think if you offer Tipperary after 3 games maybe 4 points out of 6 going into after the busy period, I think they take it. So that's why I think Liam Cahill will go relatively. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go relatively strong. Go up to Tullamore. You need to be strong going up there. It's like Offaly. This is a big deal for Offaly. Like, they've made a big claim of trying to get back up to Division 1A hurling. They were very competitive against Kilkenny, even though maybe Liam Hoare was busy last weekend and maybe saved them from maybe losing by more than 4 points. But like, horsing the All-Ireland champions, like from where they were a couple of years ago, playing the likes of Down and Derry and Kerry, and like hosting the All-Ireland champions in Tullamore, that's where they wanted to get back to, and I think they'll be a tough nut to crack at the weekend. And like the 15 that are selected will really have to be on their game.
Yeah, that game, 2 o'clock throw-in time in Tullamore. Full live commentary. Ken Hogan joining myself, and our coverage of that one is with thanks to Casey Tiles and Wooden Floors in Cahir. We're going to talk football after the break, but Shane Brophy, thanks for joining us on Across the Line.
Pleasure.
And we'll be back after these. And you're very welcome back to part 2 of Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday the 30th of January 2026 in association with the Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Before we move on from hurling and before we move on from schools hurling, big congratulations to St Joseph's College in Brophy, who had a massive win over CBS Dungarvan in Feathertown Park earlier today. That was in the Munster Under-19C schools hurling final. Really, really entertaining game. 218 to 120 was the full-time score. Owen Anderson and Carl Kendi with the goals for Brophy. So a massive win for them, and congratulations to all involved as well. And as we shift focus to the world of Gaelic football, Tipperary taking on Antrim on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Division 4 of the National Football League. You can hear live updates of that game on Tip FM with thanks to John Kennedy Motors in Clonmel. But a big notice, if you didn't hear during the day, that game has been moved out of FBD Semple Stadium on Sunday. Semple Stadium is deemed unplayable. Plenty of rain during the week, and the field was fairly cut up after last weekend's National Hurling League game. So Sunday's game against Antrim in the National Football League still at 2 o'clock, but is now on in Moneygall instead. So earlier in the day, before this news broke, I caught up with Anthony Shelly to look ahead to that game. So if we do mention Thurles or Semple Stadium in this chat over the course of the next 5 or 6 minutes, just be sure that the game is taking place in Moneygall on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So let's hear and look ahead to that game on Sunday with our football analyst Anthony Shelly. Same team, same 26 been named by Niall Fitzgerald. Was that a surprise to you, or how was your reaction to that?
Probably wasn't a surprise. Stephen is gone, isn't he? Stephen O'Brien. Mark Stokes replaces Stephen O'Brien.
Yeah. So that's I suppose the same 1 to 26. Yeah.
So is Stephen in the 26? I didn't see.
Yeah, he's number 23 there. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was listed there. Yeah. So Mark Stokes for Stephen. Obviously, Stephen going out is a loss, but Mark Stokes coming into any team is never going to weaken it.
Stephen was named 23 last week as well and started the game, so you never know what way they're going with the numbers.
But I would imagine Mark Stokes would be playing. He's too good a player not to be sitting it out for too long. Granted, he was a bit late back to training because he had been travelling, so he probably hasn't the pre-season under his belt that some of the other lads that have. But if Mark Stokes starts, it will be it would be a plus. And he may not see the whole game. He'll probably have to be managed the same as Stephen. But I'm not surprised to see the same team going again, because while there's been a bit of chatter online, and even in the pubs around the place, oh God, are we that low? We can't beat London. But we are a team seriously in transition. We're not as good as we were 4 or 5 years ago, and London are a team definitely on the up, and will take a few scalps. If you remember last year at the opening game, they beat Wicklow at home, and Wicklow only lost out promotion by score difference after. So London, a team on the up, Tip, a team in transition. To come away from the draw from London last week is actually, I would have thought, a really good result. So you go in now with a different proposition with Antrim, who to me were surprisingly beaten by Carlow at the weekend. They got caught for 2 goals very early on. They're a team that we have played a couple of times over the last few years, and they have caused us problems. They're always a well-conditioned team, and when they get their hands on the ball and run at us, they can't cause us problems. And they have the likes of Mark Jordan and Paddy McBride and the team that can kick scores, and really good players for a long time now. So it's a game I would be worried about it. I think a huge amount of this game will depend on if we can get our hands on the kickouts and retain possession, and maybe do the opposite to what I was saying there. That Antrim do mirror what they do if we can run at them, they're always liable to concede a few goals. They conceded a lot in the league last year. I think it was 9 goals I checked, and they got hit for 2 last week. So there are goals there, but I do think if we are to come away with a result on Sunday, we will need probably to raise a couple of green flags.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I remember Antrim a couple of years ago in Semple Stadium, and like that, noticed they're a very kind of physical team, and this is very fit, very fast, going up and down the field, particularly the half back line that day anyway. But for Tip, it's a younger team, maybe some of the players not as physically developed, so that could be a bit of an advantage for Antrim. But from what we've seen from Tip last week, transition when Tip get an attack and kick the ball forward fast, they can really hurt teams with some of the forwards Tip have now at their disposal this year. Yeah,
that has to be the key, particularly in Semple Stadium. Is like if we get into arm-to-arm combat with them by moving the ball slow into the forward line, there's only going to be one winner there, and that will be Antrim. So if we can, as you say, repeat what we seemed to do last Sunday and get the ball in fast, we certainly would think. You would think that we would have the pace to maybe create the odd opening. When the likes of Eoghan and these lads get on the ball, that you're always excited that there may be a goal chance coming. But what would worry me would be that Antrim got hit for 2 goals early on last week, so they're obviously going to be paying a little bit more attention. Trying to be tighter in defence, and 16 of our 21 or 22 points last week came from the boots of Sean O'Connor and Keane Smith, and we probably would need more lads chipping in with scores if we're to get the result. Because you would imagine that after being flagged with 16 of the 22 scores coming, that Sean and Keane will be tightly marked.
Yeah, so that's 2 o'clock Sunday. Anthony will be there giving us updates throughout that game. If you want to tune in, and those updates are with thanks to John Kennedy Motors in Clonmel. Enjoy the game on Sunday, Anthony, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
And that was Anthony Shelly speaking to myself earlier today, looking ahead to that game, Tipperary against Antrim. A reminder once again, that game has been moved to take place now in Moneygall on Sunday at 2 o'clock, and you will be hearing live updates from that game on Tip FM with thanks to John Kennedy Motors in Clonmel. Let's take a step away now from Gaelic games. Earlier in the week, I sat down with a Tipperary man from Cahir, Will Fleury. You might have heard him on the show before. Will is making huge strides in the world of mixed martial arts. He has become a 2-time mixed martial arts champion with the Oktagon promotion, a big promotion in Europe. He fought in front of 20,000 people in the main event and defended his heavyweight crown just before the new year, December 28th, against a man who won 7 of his 8 fights in the UFC, Martin Buday. So I sat down earlier in the week to talk to Cahir's own Will Fleury about his journey so far in Oktagon MMA and what's next for him in 2026. So here's my conversation with professional MMA fighter, 16-3 now. It's Cahir's own Will Fleury. Now, I'd like to say I'm joined by Cahir native and MMA fighter Will Fleury. Will, how are you?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking to you just a month on from your massive win over in Prague, successfully defending your Oktagon MMA heavyweight title against a UFC 8-fight veteran, I suppose, 7 of which he won, Martin Buday. A month on, how are you feeling after that? It was a quick fight on your behalf, a minute and a half in, and you got him out of there. So how's the body? How are you feeling after that?
Well, he's great, yeah. Didn't take too much damage, thankfully. And yeah, like, went ideally, but it's funny, like, it was obviously a huge highlight, massive buzz at the time. But within a week, it's kind of gone, and you're just looking for the next thing, and you need to have something else lined up, otherwise you kind of feel a bit aimless.
Yeah.
And I'm going over to Stuttgart this weekend now to try and sort out what's next and try and get the next fight lined up, and hopefully it's something big. And like, that was an ideal opportunity because it was such a big challenge, and I was a big enough underdog going into that. Nobody was expecting me to do what I did. So I'd hope to get something else again like that where, I suppose there's not too many guys now they don't think I can beat, but like get somebody who people would be going, oh, that's a tough fight for him. Like, so hopefully we can get an opponent in like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine like the buzz of something like that, like people will be able to relate no matter what you're doing. If there's something you're looking forward to doing and you're probably a bit nervous beforehand and then it happens, there's always a good buzz after. But when that thing is fighting in front of 20,000 people against a heavyweight MMA fighter and you knock him out in 90 seconds or so, like that must be some rush. And just, I'd say there's a big come down probably after it as well.
Funny, but because like I've done it a few, like I've had these events a good few times at this stage. So even going into it, I was a bit more relaxed and low-key than usual. Even like when we got into the cage, I noticed how nervous he was, which was kind of strange to me. And like, obviously, look, it's a big event. There's 20,000 people there. He's Slovakian. It's in Czech Republic. So I suppose they're kind of his home audience in a way. But like, I could see his diaphragm was going. I could see he didn't really want to make eye contact. Like, I feel very used to these situations at this stage. It's kind of bizarre in a way. And like, say when I won, yeah, there's a massive rush. But it's kind of, I don't want to, like, it's a huge buzz. It's massive. These moments are like the highest highs you'll feel in your life. They're brilliant. But like, there's also a real awareness now of like, okay, where does this lead to? And what can I leverage this for? What can I get from this in terms of career? And like making the absolute best of this moment. So even now that journey's still continuing of like, okay, how can I get something better from that, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny, like it took me a while to actually allow it to sink in at all because your brain goes straight to that. Like I locked out that guy, Pavel Langer, in the stadium in Frankfurt, and like literally as soon as the referee touched me, I turned around to Carlos and I was like, you're next, mate. Because you're already thinking of lining up the next fight.
Yeah.
And it was only when I got back to the dressing room and like sat down, I was like, God, that couldn't have went much better actually. And yeah, you enjoy it. You're like, okay, you can switch off a bit. Like you're not in fight mode now.
Yeah.
Just relax, have a laugh. Thank God, like, everything went unbelievably well. You could have been in hospital, like it could have been terrible. Like, so you do feel a massive sense of relief and a sense of joy. But ultimately, I think with the way my mind's set up these days, I kind of just want the next thing, and it's nearly agreed in a sense of like, I know I only have a short window left at this. So I know, and like I've worked very hard to get to this point. So I feel like I really owe it to myself to get the absolute best out of it. So, the whole buzz of it was, okay, great, get the next thing lined up now.
Yeah, and you're kind of spoken about that before, about like you're very aware of, this isn't a career you can do for 20, 30 years. You need to milk every little bit you can out of it while you have it. So you're very aware of that. And like, where do you kind of see it going, or do you just kind of take it as you were saying, kind of fight by fight? Because I don't think you could have predicted where it's gone, maybe even yourself, in the last couple of years.
No, like I knew that I was at a high enough level, and like I go around the world and train with different fellas all the time, and a lot of the guys would be very successful in their own way, and I do very well against guys who are very successful. So I knew that was definitely possible for myself. But I didn't see this road being like, look, in Oktagon, Ireland isn't really very popular. Very few guys would know what the promotion is or much about it.
Yeah.
But over there, it's absolutely massive. Like, so in Germany and in Czech Republic and Slovakia and Austria and likes, it's huge. So even like I was in Berlin over the summer there, and you've cops coming over getting photos with you. It's landed like anytime I'm in Czech Republic at all, because over there it's kind of the biggest. You're mobbed and it's great, like it's class. But to me, it's like, right, I don't feel like I can't buy a gaff here with the money I've made yet or like that.
Yeah.
So it's more about like making that a reality and getting yourself set up for thing, and like I suppose even if you can have enough to kind of start something else after you've done this. So making that real is my main goal now.
Yeah, and where are you based? Are you still based in Ireland at the minute? I saw you were doing some training in Manchester, I think, before the fight.
Yeah. So I was in Manchester for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I was over in Las Vegas for about 4 or 5 weeks at different times. Kind of like I spent 4 or 5 weeks consecutive in Vegas, and I went to Manchester for 2 weeks, and then about 2 or 3 weeks after as well. So both there, just because I needed bodies who were a bit bigger for training. Like Budai was 135 kilo when I met him over in Brno to do the promo stuff for the fight. And very few guys in Ireland would be that size, and anybody who's anyway decent would be a lot smaller. So even there's only myself and Carl Moore, the only two light heavyweights, and like so I'm a very small heavyweight. Getting guys anyway similar to Martin, you have to travel. So for this camp, I travelled quite a bit. And look, in future, anytime I'm fighting heavyweight, I'll have to travel just to get training partners for it, really. But like, that's great. I love being able to go away and travel, and even to be able to have the few quid to go and spend a couple of weeks somewhere is great as well. But like, it really is a goal of like, okay, make this something that sets you up for the rest of your life now. And I think like in terms of talent, very few people can deny that I'm there at this stage, but it's about getting the money out of it financially,
And do you still see that in Oktagon, or could you see yourself maybe going to a UFC or somewhere, or where do you kind of see it all playing out?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I have one fight left on my deal, and it depends what offers come. Like, there are offers on the table already, and now it's kind of giving Oktagon the chance to make a bigger offer, come in and say, okay, we want to keep you because you're a champion in 2 divisions. And like, I kind of have a little bit of an affinity with the fan base over there as well. So I think I'm kind of good value for them at the moment,
Yeah.
for what they have me on. And I like the promotion, in fairness, they've given me the platform to go and do this. I'd love to stay with them, but I'd need the reason to stay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so negotiations to come regarding that, I'm sure, in the next few weeks. But
Yeah,
how have you
exactly.
found the weight classes? You were light heavyweight, now you're going up to heavyweight. Easier to probably go up in weight classes than come down anyway, but how have you found that?
Yeah. To be honest, like, I haven't actually gained much weight to go up to heavyweight. I'm only about 2 kilos heavier than I was when I used to fight light heavyweight. And I still have, like, if there was any challengers in the light heavyweight division, I'd be going back down, but I haven't defended that belt in over a year now. And just, there are 2 German guys in my division who should be the challengers. They've both vacated the division, basically, so they refused to fight me, the 2 of them. And now they're moving down to middleweight, or the 2 of them have done, or were supposed to do catchweight fights, and they've now said, oh, we're going down to middleweight. But there's a possibility, ironically, that I might eventually go down to middleweight as well. So we'll see. Like, basically, moving up to heavyweight has been I haven't really moved up. I'm just a light heavyweight guy who fights at heavyweight. So I fight much bigger men, but I just feel like, look, size is a factor. Skill set's a much bigger factor. Like Martin, he's one of the biggest heavyweights you get. Like,
Yeah.
He cuts, like, he's always weighing in 225, like 120 kilos, 265 pounds on the dot. Like, so, he's cut down to make that weight, and even like he'd be doing you can see he's a little bit drained even when he gets on the scales. So you're not going to fight many guys much bigger than him. And as long as you have the skill set to be able to dismantle guys that size, because I was saying this in an interview before the fight, the muscles get bigger, but the heart and the organs that supply the muscles don't get a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So no matter how big you are, you have a limited body to supply that. And look, you might have more power for a short period of time, and it's for me to ride that wave and kind of deal with the level of power you're going to give me for 6 or 7 minutes. But after that's over, well, we're on an even playing field now, and it's about who's more skilled. And I probably have a little bit left in the tank that you don't, So even sparring wise, I find that really big guys, easier to spar. Most of my toughest rounds in this camp were against other, other light heavyweights or even middleweights sometimes. Like,
yeah, it's funny how it works, and as you said, you're not going to be fighting anyone really bigger than 265 in an octagon, that's for sure. Last couple, I suppose, coming into 2026 now. Would you like to have you a number in terms of I want to fight this many times, I want to fight in this month or wherever? How do you kind of have it laid out in your own head?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really good options on the table now. Like, there's a Turkish guy, Kasim Aras, who wants me to fight for the heavyweight belt as well. He's got a pretty big fan base over in Germany, so it's fairly possible that we could do that fight the next 6 or 8 weeks, I think. So hopefully there's something coming fairly soon. And then I'd be out of my Oktagon deal, but so it depends what happens with the contract. If they re-sign me and, everybody's happy, then there's a guy, Daniel Spoor, who they kind of lined me up to fight in the cage after, but he's after having a slight injury, so he'll be around during the summer. We could do that fight during the summer, and then I could go down and fight for the middleweight belt because they're doing a stadium show again in Frankfurt, which would be 60,000 people. I'd love to challenge for the third belt at that show. That's late September.
Yeah.
So it'll be a tough year in that sense. I'd have to lose a lot of weight later in the year then, and that'll be a hard period of dieting. And, but to me, like, nobody's done 3 belts at once before. And it'll be a huge, that'll be tough. It'll be very tough to do, but it's kind of like climbing Everest. Nobody's done it before, and you're just like, right, I would love to be the first person to go and do this. So if things work out that way, that'd be amazing. But again, there's a lot of moving pieces to that, and we don't know even it depends on the deal and what happens long term. And look, there's other things on the table there. There's PFL, there's UFC, there's all sorts. So it's an exciting place to be right now. I have a lot of options that are all good options. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm here, and it's cool to be in a position where nearly every road looks like a good place to go, if you know what I mean. And in a way, it's tricky as well because, you're always going to regret the thing you didn't do in a sense. But I think once you've committed something, you have to be fully in it. I'm in that place right now where there's a lot of moving pieces and there's a lot of parts on the table that you're kind of going, okay, let's just see how it goes. But that's where I'm at the moment, anyway.
Yeah, it's a real watch this space, as I said. So we'll keep an eye on you and see how you get on over the course of the next few weeks and months. And have you been back in Tipperary recently at all, or have you been back to the motherland at all?
Yeah. I was down the day after. I fought about 12 o'clock local time in Prague, and I was back. So I had a flight at 11:30 the next morning. I only got about 45 minutes to sleep that night. And then my friend James O'Rourke was getting married in Nenagh the next day. So at about 5 o'clock the next day, I was down in Nenagh and on the points again. And I only got about 2 hours sleep that night. So it was a rough few days afterwards, but it was a great few days as well,
You were probably more broke up from the pints in Nenagh than you were from the fight, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, waking up that following morning, I was wrong. I felt like I had a tough fight,
Well, as we said, we'll watch with keen interest on how the career continues to develop. Will, thanks for talking to us and very best of luck going forward.
Thanks for the coverage. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was my conversation earlier in the week with Cahir's own MMA fighter Will Fleury. A real mad world that he is making huge strides in. And as I said there, we'll be keeping an eye out on how his career progresses throughout 2026. So let's take another ad break here. More to come on this week's Across the Line after these. And you're very welcome back to the third and final part of Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, and this Friday, the 30th of January 2026, and all in association with Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Now let's have a look at what else is happening around the county this weekend in the world of soccer. We have games in the TSDL and NTNDL, but I would advise to just watch out for pitch inspections and things like that, and before you head to any of these games, all subject to confirmation. St Michael's are playing Cahir Park in Cook Park on Saturday at 7 p.m. On Sunday then, we have Clonmel Celtic hosting Clonmel Town at 11 a.m. Cashel Town are at home to Cullen Latin at 2 o'clock. In the NTNDL Premier Division, Shinrone hosting Sally Park on Sunday at 11, and at the same time Moneygall are away to Ara Rovers. But a reminder, all those games subject of course to pitch inspections, so keep an eye out. In the world of rugby, Division 2A in Division 1A of the AIL, Nenagh Ormond are hosting St Mary's College at 2:30pm in New Ormond Park on Saturday. At the same time in Division 2A, Cashel are away to Greystones, and at the same time Division 2C, Clonmel look to get back to winning ways as they welcome Middleton to Ardguia. All of those games 2:30 start. On Sunday, the Tip Ladies footballers in action at home to Cavan in Clonmel Sportsfield in Division 2 of the league. Throw-in is at 2pm there. And in also 2pm on Sunday, the All-Ireland Minor A Camogie Championship gets underway. Tipperary taking on Cork. Throw-in time there is at 2pm in MIC in Thurles. So as always, it is a very, very busy weekend of sport in Tipperary, and we'll try and keep you all up to date. And a reminder as well that Ronan Quirk will be back on Extra Time on Tuesday evening at 7pm. Of course, it's a bank holiday Monday, so Ronan will be back on Tuesday evening at 7pm. But now, at this time of a Friday evening here on Tip FM, it's time to talk dogs with Barry Drake.
Tip FM's Greyhound News Update with Greyhound Racing Ireland, your Christmas party destination across the nation.
All roads lead to Clonmel for the next couple of days, of course, with the National Coursing Festival expected to draw thousands of people to Clonmel over the course of the next couple of days. But action on the track, of course, we're going to concentrate on, and there's 3 fantastic meetings down for decision over the course of the next couple of nights. Racing action, of course, will kick-start tonight in Clonmel, where the first, of course, will go to Traps there at 7:30. Some good racing action to look forward to. And in terms of predicting winners, well, in race number 3, this is the split the pot S3 S4 dual stake distance semi-final. Couple of good sorts in opposition here, and we're going to go with trap number 3, who's the most interesting runner, who was a 29-13 winner on debut. Out of luck since, but expect Warrenstown lad to go very well for local trainer Pádraig Campion. And the possible favourite, and probably the one that it has to beat, of course, is Amarim in trap number 5 for Newen trainer Owen McKenna. That was a good performance in defeat last time, and they're certainly the two to concentrate on, with very little between those. Elsewhere on the card, of course, race number 4 is the Droopy Stud on Race Stake semi-final, and an interesting runner here on trap number 5, Golden Drew Drop for Tom Doyle in Golden there in Cashel. A 29-40 winning trial performance last time out, should go very close. And as I said, it really is a night of a really good racing action to look forward to there in Clonmel, opening up the Festival of Racing there at 7:30 tonight. Switching our attentions to Saturday night's racing action at Clonmel. Once again, of course, it's a 7:30 start with some good sorts in opposition. Looking forward to the Trainer of the Year Aaron O'Hanlon Stake semi-finals there. An A2 contest. Born Ranger is the one to beat in the opening semi-final, taking a significant drop in class for Killinall trainer Jennifer O'Donnell. Although it's yet to taste success in 6 career outings, has run a number of good races, and this looks like a gifted opportunity really to get off the mark. The second semi-final is a good contest. I'm going with trap number 2, Emer's, and for Emer Dunn in Thurles. Caught the eye in defeat 2 runs ago when just denied by Jack Tavern Bull. This greyhound has got big early pace, and expecting that there to make all the running there in that race. So another one to keep an eye on there in Clonmel on Saturday night. As I said, really good racing action down for decision. But the big night, of course, will take place on Sunday night, of course. It really is going to be a night to remember of top class racing. Don't forget, of course, getting underway at the usual Sunday night start time of 6:04. We have the Sporting Press Online Edition A1 A2 final, which is due off at 7:31. That's a really good contest there. I'm going with trap number 2, Shore Exile, for the Andrew Lynch kennel down there in Cappaquin in County Waterford. 30-11 winning performance last time. I think that can dominate from start to finish. The Rural Kennels Open on Race Stake final with €6,500 to the winner. Champion trainer Graham Holland, of course, is doubly represented here. Also, of course, Jack Tavern Alf running in trap number 5 for rising trainer Adam Dunford. New in spot is probably the best of the Holland runners, 28-42 2 runs ago. But I'm going to take a chance here with the Cork runner, who has a favourable draw in trap number 3, Favero Warrior. for Ken Bustee down in Cork. 2 wins from 3 career starts, 28-46 2 runs ago. If producing one of its quickest starts, I think that one could be the value alternative in what looks like a very open race. We also have the John White Memorial A3, A4 Guys and Dolls Stake final, €2,500 to the winner. Another great competition over the course of the last couple of weeks. This will be all about trap number 1, Jack Tavern Turbo, who has set the standard in the competition. A couple of sensational winning performances, most notably his 28-38 run 2 runs ago. Really should be all one-way traffic at the head of affairs. Also on the night we have the Tommy and Bridget and Mary Dunford Memorial Stake final, of course, bitch stake final. Immakilly Roxanne in trap number 1 has got a great draw for trainer Adam Dunford, in good form in recent outings, and is certainly capable of leading early and making a bold bid from the front. However, trap number 2, Bush Park Mel, will be the one to keep an eye on in the second half of the race. A real powerful performer, 28-84 on tough conditions last time out. That was a real good run, and just give a narrow vote there to the Graham Holland trained runner. But as I said, trap number 1, not without a chance there. Immakilly Roxanne will have plenty of support there in that race. So it really is going to be a fantastic night. As I said, some superb racing action down for decision there. And also keep an eye on trap number 1, Tiermanna Sugar in the closing race for Gillian O'Donnell and Kevin McLean, the local Clonmel kennel. Thought that one might be able to get off the front early, and in doing so should prove hard to reel in. So as I said, all eyes on Clonmel over the course of the next 3 nights, where bumper crowds are expected at the local track.
And many thanks as always to Barry Drake there for his comprehensive rundown on what's going on in the world of greyhound racing, both here in Tipperary and further afield as well. Well, that's just about all we got time for this week's edition of Across the Line. Many thanks to all the guests and to you, the listeners, for tuning in. And of course, our sponsors, Premier Credit Union in Thurles. I'll be back on air tomorrow, live from Zimmer Biomet Park Kisog in Ennis for the Harty Cup final. Throw-in time there is at 1 o'clock. And we'll also be back on Sunday at 2 p.m. for Tipperary against Offaly in Tullamore. Busy weekend to come. Can't wait for it. Have a good Friday evening. I'll be back on air tomorrow for this week's edition of Across the Line. It's bye for now.